So, the Tower Defense Simulator lobby, there are many secrets when it comes to this, not least I've already covered them since 2019 with the secret room in Tower Defense Simulator. There used to be secret rooms in Tower Defense Simulator, including some back rooms and the aforementioned secret room which had dance floors and everything, but all of that is gone. So you might think this version of the lobby is pretty tame, and the developers have professionalised Tower Defense Simulator to the point where they've removed most of the Easter eggs. But that's not the case, although that being said, the feature I'm about to show off here probably can't be classified as an Easter egg. So if you were to go to this area here for the modifiers, and then you were to somehow bypass this invisible wall, it's actually quite easy to just go down here, because there is an invisible wall here, probably due to meshes. You will notice that you can easily get on top of this wall, and you can easily notice down and see that there are actually some secret rooms-ish. Now, if you fall down, you can see, oh, there's a lot of furniture down there as well, including a little small blue brick. Now, there are likely other ways that mean that you can actually get down there not using that method, and probably likely land on one of these statues. But from what I can see, that's the easiest way to get down there and to see what the lobby has to explore. The only problem is you can't really land there all too well. However, maybe due to exploits or stuff like that, some people have actually gotten all the way down there and seen for themselves what the lobby has in store for what everything is down there. I don't know if it's glitched again or they used exploits, but we shall see. As this person describes to me, there's the 2023 present wall glitch, which apparently uses the present emotes from Krampus Revenge, the minicamp teleports, campfire emote from Krampus Revenge plus emote size game pass, camp fling using the campfire emotes from Krampus Revenge plus emote size game pass, and MJ camera clip, which is apparently a Roblox community emote. I didn't know that they were there, but fair enough. That probably explains how they were able to get down there and land on these statues without any exploits. So it certainly is possible. However, I'm not bothered too much by it, and these glitches sound common enough that most people, if they have the emotes, would probably be able to do this. So, I mean, yeah, well, they have changed it so you can't character scale while emoting, but I don't know if it's like a character scaling thing where if you're campfiring and you were to emote, it would glitch you down. Person probably watches my videos, they can probably easily explain it themselves. However, down there, you'll notice a bunch of things if you were to go down there, so thanks to this person for showing it off, well, so that I don't need to glitch it myself. So, firstly, there is the community art board, as you can see here. So, since 2020, since the inception of Discord art contests on the Tower Defense Simulator Discord server, there has been a community art board in the lobby. This has evolved over times, including some areas in like the hardcore area which had screens similar to these leaderboards which had or displayed community art. However, they were moved to an art board as such, the community art board, in the main area of the lobby right next to where the former statues were. So imagine like the community art board being here, for example. However, with the changes over into matchmaking statues which populated this area here, it meant that the community art board, there was no space for it, which meant that the developers had to remove it, except they didn't. What they did, in fact, was just to move it down into the lobby, which is why you can see it here. And you'll notice from all of these things that the developers could have removed these features, but they kept around, not as Easter eggs necessarily, but in case they want to reuse the code, or alternatively, they may think that removing it will cause somehow the game or the lobby to break, which, thinking about it, probably might work because of the spaghetti code of Tower Defense Simulator is built from 2019 and probably this version of the lobby is built from 2020. So I guess it's valid that by removing the community art board that the entire lobby will break. And then next you have the area where you open crates. The developers, instead of making it a huge area in the lobby, which is where the survival area is, they've decided to move it underground and underneath the lobby, which is fair enough. The crate area didn't really need to take that much space, hence why it's probably moved down here. However, the thing that's missing is the fact that there is no supercomputer here. The supercomputer, which was actually kind of instrumental to the Hunt Mega Edition, because that's where you had to input the code from when you completed all 10 other previous Mega token hunts, it's been removed. For whatever reason, I don't know why, maybe due to lag or something like that, but it's no longer here. But very clearly, because you saw me falling through the map, the crate area is still there, that massive large room. And it's actually not the first time that a crate area has been moved underground in case the developers would reuse it. In fact, from what I recall, for the Frost invasion, there was a crate area there that was being used, but instead of it being like publicly displayed in the lobby, and that's the crate area that you can see there, it was just moved underneath the lobby. In fact, it was stored underneath the lobby, instead of it being underground and visible by players if they went down some steps, as was the case for the previous lobby in 2021. This kind of pays homage to that, and the crates are still being opened here, so if you were to open this crate and you were to see, oh, well, you could actually see yourself through it. You probably won't see their username, but if you were to open a crate and you were there, you would see yourself there, and other players would also see you there, which is very interesting. And next, you have the statues, and interestingly enough, all of the statues which were previously in the main bit of the lobby, which would surround this area, so like all the statues here, so for example this commander statue, it probably would be like one of those minigunner statues. There would be a statue here for challenge maps, that light goal was probably there, so yeah, all of these statues would be confined to these two spots here. However, with the advent of moving everything to UIs, as you can see here, it meant that the developers actually removed, quote, these from the main bit of the lobby. However, what they did, similar to the community artboard, was just move it down like 100 studs. So you can very clearly see sandbox mode is here, the commander is here, the survival mode is here, the statue for hardcore mode is here, and the challenge maps are also here, in pretty much the same manner that they would be here for the main lobby. So they've just selected all of these statues and just moved it down 100 stars. And I think the minigunner statue, sorry, would be here on a pedestal, but the pedestal is no longer here. Again, this is very interesting purely because the developers, or Below Natural himself actually, said that there would be a new hardcore Reaver statue, Void Reaver statue, in 2024. However, since its removal, it means that we can't see this new statue or interact with this new statue anymore. However, even more interestingly, you can actually interact with these statues, and you can see that you can still play the game properly with these. It's like these statues, they still work if you were to interact with them, but the developers are pushing for the statues to be removed in favour of a simple UI which clearly conveys how you play a game mode, which is fair enough. I assume the developers have a statistic that many players, they prefer to use the UI over the statues when they were in the game, and that's probably the reason why the developers just moved all of these statues down, because they were kind of redundant and the developers don't need it anymore. Again, I think they haven't removed it in case they need to bring back the statues for whatever reason, like the UI breaks or something, but also, again, by removing the statues, they might break the game, so it's fair enough why they may have not done that. Although, again, you may have noticed that I said challenge maps. These aren't the challenge maps that are seen here, these are the modifier maps. But if you were to interact with this statue, you will notice that there is no UI. This is because challenge maps were removed for modifiers. So if you were to go into, I think, quests, the former challenge maps would appear alongside this, so we quest, missions, and then challenge. But since its removal, it no longer appears. Hence why, if you were to interact with the challenge map statue, no UI would appear other than quests and missions, because it's calling upon something that's been removed. I feel like this statue can probably be removed from the game since it's never coming back, but in case the developers want to reuse the commander for anything, it's there, I guess. And you can still select the missions for the special game modes, but it'll be the same manner in which you select the missions from here, the special modes, very similar to that. Hardcore is pretty much the same, and these statues are just underneath the map, waiting for someone to fall upon them and just use them. And they still work, they will still teleport you to the game, it will just put you through matchmaking as well. It's similar to the UI, except you're interacting with a statue rather than clicking a button on your lobby screen. And finally, most interesting of all, there is something underneath the lobby which has a chair with a crown of sorts into it. This looks like a Fallen Swordmaster chair, and I'm not sure if it's actually underneath the lobby itself or if it's just there, but surely it has to be underneath the lobby if the person has fallen upon it. So I guess I'm allowed to say it, but I'm not sure. Below Natural, please don't kill me if this is accidentally a leak or something. But yes, underneath the lobby there is a chair of sorts with a crown on top of it, which may indicate some sort of hardcore rework, but it also could easily be some sort of PvP thing, a proposed PvP statue that the developers had in mind before moving out into this whole area that they used for PvP mode. After all, I think, right, the chair would kind of suit this pedestal here, and interestingly enough, there is a PvP statue still in the game when all of the other statues have been removed. So maybe that's why the developers have just kept around statues, just in case people still want to use statues. Although, with that being said, PvP mode is not that popular, so maybe they should just remove the statue. It's certainly not affecting the amount of players playing PvP mode. However, you'll notice that this person doesn't point out the small little blue cube in the background. Now, I've actually explained this on most occasions, on some occasions actually, in the past, but many people were actually clueless about this blue cube. It appeared in the lobby in 2020, or even earlier than that, but many people couldn't figure out what it actually did. Where is this blue cube? It's there. You can nearly see it. It's like a pixel on your screen there. So what that blue cube is, it actually stores a lot of the scripts inside that's used inside the lobby. So I guess removing it would probably cause the game to break. And why they have it stored inside a brick, someone proposed that it could be the case where the developers, instead of trying to search around for scripts, lobby scripts, around in their workspace, they just decide to shove all of the scripts into a blue cube, and if they were to want to change a script from that, it'll be very easy to select it and then just remove stuff or add stuff to it. And I think removing it actually causes some parts of the lobby to actually be removed. So yes, those are all of the lobby Easter eggs in Tower Defense Simulator. They're all hidden away, and there's no secret like going onto the roof and then just walking around there, but they are in the game, and there's not really much to be said about the event area itself. I already talked about Krampus and the Star Cannon and stuff like that, but the other stuff, they're permanent. They're not like event limited, such as the stuff that's inside the Halloween stuff.